Welcome to Nebraska Preps Postgame with your hosts, Mike Sautter and Jacob Padilla.
Hey everyone, welcome into the latest edition of Nebraska Preps Postgame. We've been off through the holiday break.
A lot has happened.
And a lot has happened since then. We've had the Metro holiday tournaments. We've had other holiday tournaments that teams win and lose, and rankings moved around a lot, and a couple of new number ones on the boys' side in our coaches poll. We're going to start with the girls first because Millard West lost their first game since we last talked to Bellevue East, but then they avenged that loss, and then they dominated Millard North in the Metro final. And then in Class B, girls, Skutt now has a loss to Norris, and they'll play again maybe. To Pius, and they'll likely play again down the road, and Pius has lost some games. So we got a lot to talk about. So let's start with the girls. Let's start with Millard West, and I guess their last couple of weeks here, and go from there.
You mentioned preseason number one, reigning champions in A. They've got the Gesser twins leading them. 60-55 loss to Bellevue East on December 17th. So again, we've been off of a couple of weeks here, so a lot has happened. They gave up a 21-13 fourth quarter to lose that game, and Kylie Pabin and Nora Gesser combined to shoot 7 of 30 from the field.
That's not going to get it done.
Just didn't quite get enough there, despite a big game from Neely. But Tania Wilson-Smith and Jayla Wilson combined for 45 for Bellevue East. They're not bad. We know they're capable, and Eric Lanier's doing a good job there, taking over kind of last.
He's done a really good job there.
Yeah. But Northwest, since then, 7 straight wins, including running through the Metro Holiday Tournament. They avenged that loss, the 68-52 win over Bellevue East in the Metro semis. And then the final against Millard North. Final score was 72-58. It wasn't that close.
No.
They completely controlled that game through the first half and third quarter, put in some reserves, and Millard North got hot, hit a bunch of threes. But what we saw is a fantastic shooting performance by one in particular, but also it set blew away the record for previous made 3-pointers in the championship with 24, 12 apiece.
Yeah.
And the biggest reason for that was Neely Gesser, who didn't play in their first game of the Metro Holiday Tournament. Kind of got off to a little bit slow start, worked her way back up to it. And then, man, she certainly looked at full strength in the final. Went off for 35 points, 9 of 15 from 3. Both of those are records for the final, and the 9 3-pointers is the record for any game in the tournament.
Heard those 9 threes though, like some of those were like ridiculous. I mean, they were guarding her. Yeah, like her 8th one, I remember vividly. They weren't like touching her totally in her space. They were guarding her, and she just caught it, bang, fired, no question. Someone standing right in front of her, hand up everything, and it was her night. It was unbelievable.
And she'll do that. I mean, she put up 30 in the final a year ago, and then one upped herself in year 2 to go to win the last 2 Metro Holiday tournaments.
I mean, even her misses weren't bad misses. Like she barely missed.
A couple of rim outs there could have been an even bigger game. But also 6 rebounds, 4 steals, and 4 blocks to go with her 35 points. So far from a one-dimensional performance.
Heck of a game.
Nora flirted with the triple-double, 10 assists, 9 points, 8 rebounds. Kylie Pabin, who had been their leading scorer through the first few rounds of the tournament, still had a fish at 9 points. It was solid. They didn't need her to go off because Neely was doing what she was doing. And Pabin's having a really nice season, becoming a great player for them. Here they are back to our coaches poll for the girls' side. Will come out tonight as we record this on Monday. So we'll see kind of what jumbling happens there. But Northwest back where we thought they'd be after the slight speed bump against Bellevue East early in the season.
Yeah, and they're getting contributions from those 3, but the inexperienced players, I guess I'll say, like Jade Lewis has been like pretty good in the tournament for them. They're getting stuff from maybe like Millard and Mohat and Whitney. Like they're getting some quality minutes from them, and they need kind of a fourth person or someone to maybe do like a little bit of the dirty work defensively, kind of guarding people and whatnot. And it happened for them in the tournament.
Yep, no doubt. When you've got an explosive trio like that, you don't need somebody to go out there and give you 12, 15 points in a game. They just got to go out there, defend, move the ball, go get some rebounds, and then take advantage of the occasional wide open look. And that's what Millard West, that's kind of how that team's built. And that's what they were last year. Obviously, they had some real experience in those role player spots. Now those players are younger, have less reps at the varsity level, but they seem to be fitting in nicely.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, they're Millard West still the team to beat despite the loss. I will say a couple of just notes on the girls' side from what I saw. Coach Lanier is doing a tremendous job at Bellevue East, and kind of a tough spot late, getting bumped up to head coach in the fall. Yeah. I mean, didn't have the summer, but he was assistant and was around. And then Millard South, for a young team, as young as they were last year, maybe they're a year ahead right now. So there maybe need to be a team in the conversation in A2.
And Abby Duro, who had previously tied or set the record with 8. She made 8 threes in the first round of the tournament, scored 24 points, so at 8 of 16. Also, they have freshman Aubrey Carter, who we put on our all-tournament team for performance throughout. Our all-tournament team were the 2 Gesser twins, Neely, the most outstanding player, Pabin, and Nora Gessert as well. And then Aubrey Carter, who averaged almost 16 points, 10 rebounds, shot 43% from 3. So young player kind of stepping up, performing really well for the Patriots. And then Tania Wilson-Smith from Bellevue East as well, averaged 20 and 13 in the tournament.
Yeah. And then, let's move to Class B, because Pius beat Skutt
48-44 at home on Saturday.
Yeah.
And Pius is now 10-1. And that only loss came to Skutt in a neutral site game, 36-33 on December 13th. So 10-1 with avenging their only loss, dropping down to B this year. They seem to be clearly in the mix there. And Skutt, preseason favorite going in. Obviously, we know what they got coming back. But they're not untouchable, clearly, as we saw there. And with Keely Kanabi and Ava Markowski leading the way for Pius this season.
Yeah, I mean, Pius' schedule doesn't really lighten up here. Yeah. I mean, they get Millard South coming up, Papillion-La Vista coming up, Elkhorn North, Elkhorn South. Lincoln Christian is a really good team. Like those kind of games come. Gretna East is coming. They have Norris on the schedule. Bellevue East is on their schedule,
and that's the difficulty of being a school that kind of bounces back and forth as you get those schedules locked in. And now, you're a Class B team for postseason consideration, but you're playing a heavy Class A schedule as you try to kind of transition between the two. So, they make it through this stretch and continue to win. They'll certainly have earned it and showed themselves to be true.
If they go through that, if they go through that without losing the game, that would be something. It'd be hard to do, but it's still there. I think they're as good
as anybody.
I think in B, it's those two teams. It's kind of been that way maybe all year.
So, Skutt will bounce back. They'll be fine. Probably good to kind of be in that situation. Take some adversity and see how they handle it. But flipping over to the boys' side here, man, that Metro tournament from start to finish, we obviously with the split sites, we didn't get to see as much of the girls' tournament. Kind of waited until they came to Bellevue West. So you got to see the semis. I got to see the final. But man, the boys' side at Bellevue West, from start to finish, there from the first round, well, even from the play-in games all the way through the final, we saw unbelievable performances. Just as entertaining a Metro tournament from start to finish that I can remember.
That's what I think I said this to a few people since, thinking back on the tournament and even in the final, after the final and in the final. So the 8 quarterfinal teams, all 8 of them could have won that tournament, like in Class A. So we don't have the big stars right now in high school basketball in Nebraska. So the games will be the stars. Yeah. Like the games will be so competitive and good because any given night, top 12 can probably win against each other. I mean, it's one of those where it's like you just don't know.
Like to your point, 3 of the
Papillion-La South won the tournament and had to get a 4-point play. Yeah, but had to get a 4-point play. Yeah, to even get to the semis.
Well, you look at to your point, 3 of the 4 quarterfinals, 3-point margin to victory.
Right.
Like came down to the very end, the last minute. In the semis, it was 6 points and 2 points. In the final, it was a 1-point final. So like all those games were tight from up into the wire. So just kind of, I think what the Metro tournament showed is what we've been talking about, is what the season is going to be. Yep. Bryson Ball is the biggest thing, or the closest thing we have to the big star you're talking about. Yeah. And man, he's been phenomenal.
He's great.
But even he didn't have his best stuff in the final, and his teammates stepped up. Others.
He didn't. He was 0-7 from 3 in the final and still scored 21 points.
Yeah. On 22 shots. And Papillion-La South still won.
Right.
Which is a testament to that team, because it's kind of, previously had been, it's Bryson going for 30, and then they get enough around him. Can they make shots? They didn't make threes in this game, period, outside of Levi Webb.
Levi Webb had a huge game. Yeah.
So yeah, that's the final ended up being 60-59 for Papillion-La South over Omaha West Side. They to hand the Warriors their first loss of the season. They were the top seed. Like I said, Papillion-La South to its 6th seed after taking a loss without Reese Kircher in the lineup.
The key for Papillion-La South is Reese Kircher. Like Bryson Ball's great, and he's the most talented, in my opinion, best player in the senior class in Nebraska and the whole state. It doesn't matter, Class A, B, I don't care. But Reese Kircher is the head of the snake, the star the straw that stirs the drink, whatever you want to say. Whatever kind of analogy you want to use, he is so important to what they do.
And Westside knew that. They threw a lot of defensive attention.
They doubled him.
And that's where it was so big that Levi Webb took advantage, made a couple of shots early, got downhill, and just took advantage of his matchups and made some big plays. Even at the end, hit the 2 free throws that gave them the margin they needed to secure the victory.
Right.
So Webb ended up finishing with 27 points on 7 of 8 shooting.
Yeah.
He hit all 3 of his threes. He was just phenomenal in the game. 10 and 12 from the free throw line, I believe. That's a career high for him. Big moment to have your best game for a young guy there. And he is kind of the next guy, like outside of Jay Herrera had a really solid Metro tournament. He's a veteran there. Scored double figures every game up until the final. But Webb is the one with kind of the upside there to be that next scorer, to kind of be that third guy rising up with Kircher, kind of doing all the things that he does. And Ball obviously scored 30 most of his games this season.
Right.
So
he went from averaging like 29 point something. I looked this up the other day. He went from 29 point something averaging, and because he only scored 21, he dropped to 28 points after the game, 28 points a game. So pretty good.
So great final. In the semis, we had in the quarters actually, going back to that, maybe the game of the year, the best game since the Metro final. Overtime. Yeah, a few years back with Millard North. And
I would say the best game since Prep and Bellevue West played in the state tournament in 21. Maybe
they run together. 21 is it
was a semi.
The year after
the semi. A lot of people talk about Bellevue West, Millard North in the final. That semifinal game with Prep, that dudes were just making shots. Remember, it was like 94-91.
Yeah.
and it was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was overtime, I think. And that game was that game was the best I've seen in a very long time. Yeah.
And just in terms of the Metro tournament, best probably since St. Thomas had that 40-point game at Prep. With Bellevue West and Millard North in that one. But we're talking about the 104-101 triple overtime win for Millard South over Bellevue West. And I think Millard West certainly earned some respect in that game. They're at number 3 in the poll still. 8-3. They ended up falling in the semis to Papillion South, but 65-59. That was close late. Millard South, they led and then Papillion South kind of made the final push there and held on. But the 104-101 win, just insane shot making, back and forth, play for play.
That's crazy.
Both teams led by 12 in that game. Millard South led by 12 early. Then Bellevue West came back and led by 12 in the fourth quarter, and Millard South rallied to tie it. And then again, just back and forth throughout. Huge plays on both sides. So many guys stepped up. But the hero of the game was Jet Tamala, who
banked in a 3
out of nowhere, triple double, game winning banked in 3. He had 23 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists, 9 of 11 from the field, hit all 3 of his threes, hit 2 clutch free throws, and he's one that struggled at the free throw line this season, except that one of them ended up being a bank, but the second one was pure. So, yeah, he made two of his threes were banks. He made a free throw that banked in. I guess the backboard's there for a reason. Might as well use it. But, just some crazy shots. Robbie Garcia at 29, Bryce Johnson Jr., just did a lot of everything, and Braden Morrow went 7-10 from 3. Again, those two sophomores
had half of his front tooth knocked out too.
Dang, tough kid. But yeah, just if you weren't there, man, you really missed out. That's
Jet Tamala is 5 of 9 on the season from 3, and one of those is a banked in 3 to win the game.
And 3 of them came in that game.
Right.
That's not his game, but he rose up with confidence. He rose up with confidence, and they had trust in him. And so just phenomenal game in that one. Credit to Millard South, who you and I highlighted before the season as like they've got a chance here to kind of get into that mix of title contenders.
We said it in June after watching them in Kansas City in June. We're like, okay, they don't have all their football guys, but they're still going to be pretty good. And they were like the dark horse, whatever team you want to call it. Yeah. And now look, they're pretty well.
Yeah. So game winner there, banked in 3. In the semis, we also had a game winner, Lee Robinson. Yeah. In the 63-61 win for Westside over Creighton Prep there. Hadn't made a shot the entire game.
Right.
But Prep took the lead.
He was 1 of 5 in the game, and his one was
a running
floater banked in 3
at the buzzer to win the game.
Just past half court. With 2 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, because what they do to take the lead? Who made the play there?
I forget.
Okay. Because you were there, I didn't get to see it, but yeah, Prep. Back and forth.
Yeah, it was a great game. They play again Friday.
That's always the weird thing of the Metro tournament is either before or after how quickly it often seems. The rematches there. Yeah. So that'll be a fun one. So 2 game winners in the tournament. These are just some of the performances from start to finish. Taven Zephyr Murphy, 40 points. Went 10-10 from the free throw line, 13-19 from the field in the first round over Elkhorn South. LC Doss III for Buena Vista went for 41 in consolation play against Millard West. 13-19 from the field, hit 2 threes, 13-15 from the line. I mentioned the Jet Tamala triple double there. Bryson Ball throughout the tournament, 33 points, 21 points, and 21 points and 10 rebounds in the final. I mentioned the kind of the all tournament team for the girls. For the boys, we named Ball the MOP. Averaged 27 points on 49 from the field, 38 from 3, 90 from the line for the tournament.
Right.
Levi Webb kind of earned a spot on that with his final performance as well. Lee Robinson on there, along with Emery Geddick, who has been having a phenomenal season for Westside, and then Tamala for that semifinal performance.
Geddick.
Yeah. Yeah. Lee Robinson had 2 double-doubles, averaged 16 points, 7 boards, and 5 assists and 3 steals for the tournament. Kobe Myers had 31 points, 7 steals against Omaha Central in the first round. Cooper Mrachek had 32 and 12 and 33 and 7 in his 2 games. Gonar Bamak had 27 points, 6 rebounds, 4 steals, 5 blocks in a consolation win. I mentioned Robinson, couple of double. They had 16, 10 and 6 assists, 19, 10 and 6 assists, 5 steals.
Can I say something about Lee Robinson? It's not so much like his shooting, as that continues to get better. It is his hands on the defensive end. His hands are so quick and his instincts are so good. And as a defender,
you brought up Chucky Hepburn. That's the area of his game where it's most reminiscent of Chucky early in his career and throughout. Like Chucky, I think Sharif Mitchell maybe has had the best feet of people that have come through here in terms of just ability to harass and move. Chucky didn't necessarily have those kind of feet, but he was so smart in his coordination. Yeah. His hands were so good, and Lee is right in that same mold there with his ability to make plays on the ball in passing situations, rotating over help side. He is just an absolute pest, and he led them with 21 in the final. The other guys didn't really have it going, and as a freshman, he put the team on his back and made some huge plays, especially early on to get them going. And then Jerion Williams had 51 points in 2 games for Omaha North. Bon Yor had a 16-point quarter for the Vikings there. So just so many fantastic performances throughout the tournament. So Papillion-La South went through Elkhorn South, won by 6. They went through Millard North, won by 3. They won by 6 over Millard South, and they won by 1 over Westside. Yeah. Heck of a run for the Titans to earn that title.
Yeah, it was a great tournament. I mean, I enjoyed every year. It was pretty good. It was really good, really competitive, which is what we're gonna see the whole rest of the year, I think.
They're quickly now with kind of dust settled. We had obviously this dive back into regular season play over the weekend. Just the kind of all kinds of shuffling. Papillion South obviously up to number 1, Westside number 2. So the
Papillion South was 1 after week 1.
Then they lost, and now they're back. So Westside took their first loss and still 9-1. They're at number 2. Millard South at 3. Prep dropped from 2 to 4, but still up there again. So the top 4 teams are the 4 Metro semifinals, which is kind of what you'd expect there.
Those teams could beat each other every night.
Yeah, Bell West at 5, Omaha Westview at 6. They had an impressive win over Lincoln North Star on Saturday. I was there watching it. They did a fantastic job in that game. You've got Zion Patterson is now healthy. Amir Martin, they're working him in the mix. So they're at full strength now.
So scary.
Yeah, we'll see what Westview can become. North Star at 7. Millard North at 8. Sitting there at 4-3, but they still got the pieces there to put together a run. Lincoln Southeast at 9, and then Kearney at 10.
Kearney moved up,
coming back in there.
Yeah, because Southwest took a loss.
Class B, Norris is still number 1. Skutt still number 2. Man, Norris is running rush shot through people.
They are killing people.
Talked in the offseason about again June. This is why we go with this.
Yeah,
what they were looking like offensively, and we're seeing that they put up 90 points. I think in a game last week. Got so many talented offensive players.
No, it's 1 minute.
Yeah. Elkhorn North, Scottsbluff at 4. They beat Kearney in that game that we talked about. Nate Kelly went over 1,000 points last week for his career. Had a huge game in that Kearney game, and he was the one guarding Jacob Weber. Gretna East at 5, Pius at 6, Bennington at 7. They've been without Hudson Newverth, unfortunately. Tough schedule for them, and they host Scottsbluff on Friday. Plan to be there.
Scottsbluff's making that east of the state trip again.
Wahoo at 8, Creed at 9, Platteview at 10. You can kind of check out the rest of it. Lincoln Lutheran back up to number 1, just I think based off strength of schedule.
Yeah,
Ogallala's undefeated.
Lincoln
Lutheran's got a tough test. They go to Omaha Concordia on Thursday. I'll probably be there for that one as well.
And then one thing about Ogallala, them and Sydney, if I think Sydney plays Cozad this week, but next week on the 17th, they play each other.
Yeah.
So both could be unbeaten by then if they can get, that one win.
Yep. So that's the show for this week. I'd kind of speed through it. We'll be back.
And Wausau moved up to number 1 after winning a holiday tournament. Moved up to number 1 in Class D2. That's the other change. They just jumped Stewart because Stewart took a loss.
Yep. You can check out all our rankings on NEB Prep's page at hurrdatsports.com. You can see all our coverage from the Metro Holiday Tournament on there as well. We will have more throughout the season.
It's going to be a wild ride down the stretch, Jacob. It's going to be a wild ride.
You don't necessarily have the star power, but
the games will be the stars.
Anybody can win on any given night.
Yeah. All right, that'll do it for Nebraska Preps postgame this week.
A Hurrdat Sports Network production.